Hello, welcome to Aberystwyth Business School. I'm Julie Jones and I want to take you through a little festive task that I hope you'll enjoy doing. So this is about Santa's supply chain, but before we start off looking at that, let's just have a little go through what supply chains are. And so we think of a supply chain as value creation. So it's a chain of activities that are associated with physical distribution of and manufacture of products and services, really. And I don't know whether you guys have covered Porter's value chain, where we look at each business creating a value to go out to customers with. We think of a supply chain as a number of these value chains going all the way through from primary industries such as agriculture and mining, all the way through to the consumer. And each of those businesses creates value ready for the next company or the partner within that supply chain. Because these days, really, supply chains are about networks. They're not linear, and they're sort of this full of partnerships all the way through from one end to the other. So the whole point of supply chains is the improvement of effectiveness and efficiency, and that's all with regard to the physical movement of the product. So we have supply chain management all the way through, and we don't see each company as a particular single individual. We look at the whole supply chain as a whole and make sure we get it as efficient and effective all the way through. And as an example, one of the things we have to do within supply chains is to manage cost, because when we look at the end product price, about 15% of that is attributed to the supply chain activities. So let's have a look at an example supply chain, and this is for an automotive parts assembly company. So right at one end, at the beginning of the chain here, we have primary industries, and these are mining, as I said, to create the steel and get the metals, rubber, plastics, and so on and so forth. And there are probably a number of industries in between these primary industries and these component industries as well. But we've got logistics that go between the primary and the secondary level of industry here. And this secondary level takes raw materials through to components, or it might be more primary components through to the secondary components. And then these get imported. So if we can see here in the example, we've got three types of component manufacturers. We've got some in the Far East, in China and Taiwan. We've got some closer to home in the UK and the EU. And then we've got some polymer manufacturers who distribute across to this company as well. Because when we're thinking of automotive parts, we might think of things like tyres and engines and so on. But there are other areas. If you ever open up the bonnet of a car, you'll see that there are all sorts of bottles in there for oil and for water and for the windscreen washers and so on and so forth. So blow moulding becomes more and more part of automotive assemblies. So this particular company here is making assemblies that take in polymers to blow mould the assemblies, and then different types of pumps and other components from the Far East and also from the UK and EU. So the logistics here, these levels, are quite different. So China and Taiwan, it's on ships and can take weeks to arrive. And so we have to build in the fact that this is going to happen, that there's this long time delay. Things coming from the UK and the EU come faster, they come by road, as again does the polymers. So all of this has to be factored in to when you're trying to assemble the products here to make sure that all parts are available when you're doing the assembly. And then going out here to customers. So logistics again worldwide, and so we have courier services that take things out, and also that parts are flown and by ship again to the different customers. And these are business to business customers, so these are still at customer level, business level here, sorry. And this is where we take the parts, the assembled parts here, and make finished goods out of them. And then again, there's another set of logistics before they reach the end consumer. And there could also be retailers there as well. So as you can see, supply chains can be quite long. They can be quite complex. I've made this very, very simple to show you this as an example. And also, they can be worldwide and global. So if the shipments fail, if they can't get parts fast enough by ship, they have to be flown in, which is extra expense. And if you're trying to keep the costs right down, that can cause you problems. Okay, so that's an example of a supply chain here. Again, as I said, a simple one. So what's your task? Well, what I want you to do is to have a bit of fun with this. I want you to create Santa Claus's supply chain. So if we think about what happens with Santa Claus, in the traditional sense, of course, we have Santa Claus and we have Mrs. Claus and we have all the elves and we have all the reindeer, and then we have other things around in Lapland. We might have polar bears and penguins, and do they have any value there to add to the supply chain? We don't know. Because remember, of course, you know, this is your creativity here. Have a bit of fun with it. Think about where the raw materials are going to come from for the elves' workshop. How are they going to build the latest and greatest toys for children? How are we going to get the sleigh repaired? What about the logistics on Christmas Eve when Santa has to deliver all these presents in one go? Who's going to feed the reindeer? How are they going to get the reindeer's food in? And so on and so forth. So don't just think of this central supply chain of the elves making things for Santa to send out or take out. Think about all the other things, how people are fed and clothed, what happens if they hurt themselves, and so on and so forth. Have fun with it. Go wild, enjoy it. It's, you know, it. And when you've done that, please can you email your supply chain to Natalie Roberts, who will give you feedback on this. Her ID is NAR25@abba.ac.uk. So have fun, good luck, and Merry Christmas.